r/legal advice. Slam Walton says, my landlord filed for bankruptcy and told me I have 48 hours to vacate. Indiana. Tenant at will. Am current on payments, have documentation, and have utilities in my name. My landlord sublet his lease to me. Am not in an agreement with his bank or trailer park. Previously he was engaged to someone, and they broke it off. Her name was still on the trailer while they were separated. They got back together while I was staying here. They had 2 trailers together, both are retired, and couldn't afford both. My landlord has filed for bankruptcy, the bank has repossessed his trailer I've been renting, has also willfully told a cop when I called them about this that all my bills are paid, and he has given me 48-hour notice that the bank is changing the locks and it'll be locked out. Edit, he has went to the court previously and filed eviction paperwork. There's no vacate date. Just a court date. All of this has to deal with his trailer sitting outside of the property limits of the trailer park and the owner of the property wanting his trailer moved. He said the bank was going to lock me out. Edit 2. Any advice on what to do if the bank does change the locks on the first before any possible vacate date from eviction proceedings coming up? So Citidisistress 787 says, if the bank has repossessed his trailer, does he even have the right to change the locks or throw you out? Does your lease just transfer to the new owner? Is there an actual lease agreement? Edit. Just reread. Slam Walton says, the bank is going to change the locks. I'm not in an agreement with the bank. There is no written lease, but he started eviction proceedings with the court. I'm totally current on payments and have never been behind. I do have documentation of rent and utilities, and there is of course a police report where he flat out told a cop I've paid everything and everything is over a property dispute between his trailer park and his trailer being on someone else's property. Waterways says, worth double checking Indiana law on this, but no matter what the situation is, the owner, bank, landlord, whoever, must give you 30 days notice, and then if you don't move out by then, they have to take you to court and go through the formal eviction process through the courts. If he changes the locks, touches any of your stuff, that is illegal/theft. If they didn't give you the 30 days notice yet, that's what they have to do first. So the 48 hours notice is wishful thinking and or they don't know what they are doing. Obviously consult a lawyer. Slam Walton says, we do have a court case over eviction. Yes, I will amend the post to include that. Waterways says, he said the bank was going to lock me out. Unless it is legal for them to do that via court order, that would be illegal. As Whore 596 says, HMM. Not a lawyer, but they can't change your locks in 48 hours. They need an eviction. Talk to the bank. Don't sign anything, and if someone tries to do something, call the police for trespassing and breaking and entering, and show your lease. Not a lawyer, but pretty sure you need to be evicted. They can't just change the locks. This sounds like an illegal eviction. Do you have proof of the sublet? At least texts to the landlord or payment history? Contact the bank, or whoever owns it if you can, and let them know that you live there. He probably didn't tell them. r/legal advice. Quick Upstairs 6856 says, wife's father hit and killed while crossing the street. Driver was speeding. Exactly as the title says. I've never hired a lawyer before. We've called a couple once at 33%. Is that standard in these types of cases? What advice do you? Neither of us really know what to do. Modernist Amphibian says, 33% would be the low standard. I wouldn't expect it to be lower. Is the driver wealthy? Are they well insured? Was the father married? How many kids? May not need a lawyer at all. Location is important. Sendelgarm says, location is required for a reason. Different places have different rules regarding wrongful death cases. Where did this happen? DDT 1958 says, in most states, you are going to have to open a probate and have a personal representative appointed. I don't know about Texas, but generally, a wrongful death case has to be pursued by the personal representative of the deceased. Smalmeaning 5293 says, very standard. Where I practice in plaintiff pi, not DX, it is 1/3 if resolved before litigation. 40% if the lawsuit has to be filed. 50% if it goes into appeal. I urge you to contact a few lawyers soon. Talk to them and see which you like. They'll probably try to pressure a little bit. That's normal. I would act sooner rather than later. An attorney cannot act to secure evidence, possible surveillance video, was driver drunk, etc. without having a signed retainer. Evidence can get deleted, etc. in the meantime, which can obviously have an adverse effect on the claim. Unfair Commercial says 33% is normal, it's going up to 38% in most states. Quicksilver 914 says, is there a police report? Is liability clear? Crosswalk or jaywalk? If all those answers are favorable to the case, then you might take a quick run at settling yourself. If driver has limits of 100,000 or 250,000 or less, or whatever the appropriate amount would be in Lubbock, Texas, the insurance company might just pay you the policy limits. Then you don't pay a fee. The risk you run is if the driver has assets reachable in bankruptcy, you might be giving up a larger recovery. If the other driver's a very young person, they may not have any assets. If they are older, more successful, they may own a home or additional property. Check the address out on the police report under Zillow or Edfin. That will give you a ballpark idea of when the property was purchased, and what market value, and what the current market value is. That's a quick and dirty way to determine the ballpark equity that might be available to satisfy judgment. If the defendant is from Texas, what are the homestead rules? If the defendant is from out of state, was the defendant in the course and scope of employment? If in state, was the defendant in the course and scope of employment? Where I practice, in California, 33% or more. r/legal advice. Choice Assistant 319 says, partner is essentially making me homeless and telling me he is taking our 3 children. He'll try to make it simple as this is a complicated situation. We live in Nebraska. I have been with my partner for about 7 years. We are not married and have 3 children. The oldest child is not biologically his, but we have 2 other children who are biologically his. We currently live in an apartment. We have lived there for almost 3 years. Both of our names are on the lease and I pay half of the rent. I also provide groceries and necessities for our children. I have always had a job the entire time we have lived together. I have only not worked when I gave birth to the younger children. I work overnight, about 50 hours a week, and then come home and also take care of our children during the day. They have never been in daycare. I'm usually the primary caregiver and have been since they've been born. The first time I started to suspect this was my mail. For almost 2 months I received no mail. I thought this was strange, but also didn't think much of it due to paperless billing on some of my accounts. Until he confronted me about my bank account information, which he has no access to. We do not have shared accounts, as well as my credit score and other financial information. I had applied for care credit and a personal loan to try and pay off some dental surgery I will need, and because of those applications my credit score had went down. He only knew this because he has been opening my mail for him not sure how long and using that information against me. He then told me he didn't think he wanted to renew our lease and wanted to go month to month. I said that was fine and agreed. He then admitted to me that he has been talking to our apartment manager without me knowing and telling her he is planning on moving out. I still have no knowledge of when or what was said. All he said was that he told her he was moving out, and unless I have enough money to pay all the rent and electricity, I'm screwed. He did not give me any date or information on when or where this is happening. Then finally today he told me that he will be moving out, and since he knows my financial information, i.e. my low credit score, and that I cannot afford our apartment on my own, that I will most likely be homeless and living in my car, he has said this multiple times today, and therefore he will be taking the kids with him, and once they are there will be suing me for custody. I have no family in the state I can live with. Homeless shelters in the area I have called are full, and my credit is not good enough to apply for an apartment. I also have no time frame. I do not know when he is planning on leaving, so at any moment the rug is going to be pulled out from under me. I understand legally he does not have to allow me to move in with him. That's not my concern. However, the fact that he knowingly is using financial information against me to essentially say, "Ha, sucks for you, you'll be homeless," and without your kids knowing I have no information on anything, doesn't seem right. I cannot afford a lawyer I don't even know when I'm going to essentially be homeless and without my children. And since we are not married, has saying everything has doing is just and legal, and I'm not owed time with my children or knowing where they live since I won't have a place to live myself. Is there anything I can do? Or is this all legal and I have to accept it? Thank Shuck Fatfit says, you should file for child support online right now. Sumcher says, I understand you can't afford a lawyer, but if your income is below a certain level, you can contact Legal Aid of Nebraska or find a law firm that works pro bono to help you with setting up custody arrangements for your kids. On a personal note, your partner is confident you will fail. Prove them wrong. Calcin Havoc says, please call us postal inspectors. Him opening your mail is a federal crime. Regular police won't/can't get involved. Postal inspectors do not mess around. Like, I can't stress this enough. Call us about the mail, especially if you have some proof, text, recorded voice, whatever. According to Day 116 says, the oldest child is yours, he has no rights to them. Please seek legal aid. Wonderful Stick 4799 says, did you describe to those shelters what your situation is? Nowadays many shelter/homeless service agencies have diversion funds, so if you are able to stay with family out of state, they might have the money to buy your transportation for you. Also, did the shelters mention coordinated entry? If your community has that, it will get you on the list with every agency that can help you, not just homeless shelters. Farcrest 7092 says, did he ever get legitimized as the father, since you're not married? I would take the kids and go to family ASAP. Then hire a lawyer. Midnight 7 says, does your work offer an employee assistance plan? You may be able to get a free legal consultation that way. OK Perspective 781 says, have you received notice your lease is being terminated by your landlord? He can't just decide to terminate lease without your agreement, nor can he just get let out of his responsibility for the rent if it is not terminated. Obviously, if you don't pay rent, you can be evicted, and it will hurt your credit score. But it will also hurt his credit score too, as he is legally liable. You might remind him of this to buy yourself some time. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.